The stars stretched endlessly in every direction as the Carson's Pride drifted through the darkness of space. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge watching the sensor displays with calm eyes. His ship had been traveling for 3 weeks now, mapping the outer regions of the Kepler system. It was supposed to be a simple mission: survey the planets, collect data, and return home. Nothing exciting ever happened out here in the empty void between stars. Jake was a veteran of 20 years in the space service. He had seen combat before, back when humanity first encountered hostile alien species near the edge of their territory. Those battles taught him important lessons. The galaxy was not a friendly place. Other civilizations looked at humanity and saw weakness. They saw a young species with limited technology and few ships. They believed humans could be pushed around, threatened, bullied into submission. What they didn't know would soon change everything. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Commander Lisa Grant monitored the tactical systems, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. She was Jake's second in command and one of the best tactical officers in the fleet. Lieutenant Danny Peters sat at the helm, guiding the ship through the star system with practiced ease. Chief Engineer Nicole Hayes managed the power systems from her station, keeping everything running smoothly. The Carson's Pride looked like a simple exploration vessel from the outside. It had sleek lines and minimal weapons visible on its hull. Other species who had scanned it from a distance saw exactly what they expected to see: a harmless human ship barely worth noticing. The galactic community had classified Earth's vessels as technologically inferior. They believed humans posed no real threat to anyone. That misconception was exactly what Earth's military command wanted them to believe. Jake walked to the center of the bridge and checked the mission status. They had completed 70% of their survey work. 2 more planets to scan, then they could head home. He was looking forward to seeing his family again. His daughter's birthday was coming up in 3 weeks. He had promised to be there this time. The console in front of Lisa suddenly flashed red. She looked up sharply, her expression changing from calm to alert in an instant. "Captain, we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace," she announced. Her voice remained steady, but Jake heard the tension underneath. 6 ships. Configuration matches Varkoth warships. The bridge fell silent. Every crew member stopped what they were doing and turned to look at the main display. 6 red dots appeared on the screen, surrounding the Carson's Pride in a perfect formation. It was a classic military encirclement pattern. The Varkoth had planned this carefully. Jake felt his heart rate increase slightly, but his face showed nothing. He had trained for this moment. "They all had distance?" he asked. 40,000 kilometers in closing, Lisa replied. "They'll be in weapons range in 2 minutes. Danny turned in his seat. "Orders, Captain?" Jake considered their options. The Varkoth Empire was one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. They controlled hundreds of star systems and commanded massive fleets. Their warships were heavily armed and shielded. They had conquered dozens of other species through superior firepower and ruthless tactics. Most importantly, they believed themselves to be invincible. "Open a communication channel," Jake ordered. "Let's see what they want." The main screen shifted to show the interior of a Varkoth command bridge. The alien captain stood in the center, tall and imposing. The Varkoth looked like a cross between a reptile and an insect, with hard exoskeleton plates covering their bodies. Their eyes were large and multifaceted, gleaming with cold intelligence. This particular Varkoth wore decorations that marked him as a high-ranking officer. "Human vessel," the Varkoth captain said through the translation system. His voice came out as a series of clicks and hisses, converted into English by the computers. "You are trespassing in territory claimed by the Varkoth Empire. Your ship will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. Your crew will submit to interrogation. Resistance will result in your destruction." Jake kept his expression neutral. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Carson's Pride. We are conducting a peaceful scientific survey in what is recognized as human space under galactic law. Your vessels are the ones who have entered our territory without permission." The Varkoth captain made a sound that might have been laughter. "Human space? Your pathetic species controls a handful of worthless systems. The Varkoth Empire takes what it wants. Your people are weak. Your ships are primitive. You will surrender now, or we will take your vessel by force and kill anyone who resists." Around the bridge, Jake's crew waited for his response. They all knew what was coming. They had prepared for this scenario in countless training exercises. The Carson's Pride was not what it appeared to be. None of Earth's military vessels were. "I'm giving you one chance," Jake said calmly. "Turn your ships around and leave this system. If you attack us, you will regret it." The Varkoth captain's multifaceted eyes seemed to glitter with amusement. "You dare to threaten the Varkoth Empire? Your foolishness will be remembered as a lesson to other primitive species." The communication channel cut off abruptly. On the tactical display, all 6 Varkoth ships began powering up their weapons. Energy readings spiked as plasma cannons charged. The aliens were preparing to fire. Lisa looked at Jake. "Captain?" Jake took a deep breath. What happened in the next few minutes would change everything. Humanity had been hiding its true capabilities for years, letting other species believe they were weak and backward. That deception had kept Earth safe while they developed new technologies in secret, but now the moment of truth had arrived. "Drop the stealth plating," Jake ordered. "Bring all weapon systems online. Full power to shields and engines." Nicole's fingers flew across her console. "Aye, Captain." "Redirecting reactor output now." Around the Carson's Pride, panels on the hull began to retract. Underneath, weapon systems that had been hidden became visible. Railgun batteries emerged from concealed compartments. Missile tubes opened along the ship's flanks. Point defense turrets extended from recessed mounts. The entire ship transformed in seconds from a peaceful explorer to a warship. On the Varkoth vessels, sensor operators must have been staring at their screens in confusion. The human ship's power signature had suddenly multiplied. Weapons they had never seen before were appearing on their scans. But they had already committed to their attack. The lead Varkoth ship fired first. A bolt of superheated plasma streaked across the space between ships, aimed directly at the Carson's Pride's bridge. It was meant to be a killing shot, designed to destroy the human vessel's command center and leave the crew helpless. The plasma bolt hit the Carson's Pride's shields and dissipated harmlessly. The energy barrier held without even flickering. Jake smiled grimly. Return fire. The battle had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Ben Parker stood in the observation room of Providence Colony's administrative center, watching the sunrise over the alien landscape. The planet was beautiful in its own way, with purple vegetation and twin moons that created spectacular tides in the vast oceans. 8,000 colonists called this world home now, and every day more families arrived seeking new opportunities. Ben had been the colonial administrator for 3 years. He was responsible for everything from infrastructure development to conflict resolution among the settlers. It was challenging work, but he loved it. This colony represented humanity's future, proof that Earth's people could thrive on distant worlds. His assistant, a young woman named Sophie Martinez, entered the observation room with a worried expression. "Administrator Parker, we've received a classified message from Ambassador Stevens on Haven Prime. She's suggesting we review our emergency evacuation procedures." Ben frowned. "Did she say why?" "No, sir." The message was deliberately vague, but the priority coding indicates it's serious. Ben felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. Providence Colony was located at the edge of human space, far from Earth's protection. The colony had a small orbital station with outdated defensive weapons, but nothing that could stop a serious military assault. Everyone knew this was a calculated risk. Earth simply didn't have enough ships to protect every settlement. "Get me Director Hayes," Ben ordered. "I want a full review of our defensive capabilities and evacuation procedures. And I want it done quietly. No need to panic the colonists until we know what we're dealing with." Sophie nodded and left to carry out his instructions. Ben turned back to the window, but the beautiful sunrise no longer seemed peaceful. He felt like prey being watched by a predator he couldn't see. 3 days later, the predator revealed itself. The orbital station's sensors detected multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Ben was in the command center within minutes, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. 20 Varkoth warships had appeared, and they were headed directly toward Providence. Commander Linda Shaw, head of the colony's security forces, stood next to him. She was a former military officer who had retired to Providence to be closer to her family. Now she stared at the screen with professional assessment and barely concealed fear. 20 ships, she said quietly. "We can't fight that. Our orbital station has 4 plasma cannons and basic shields. We might destroy 1 ship if we're lucky, maybe 2. But 20? She shook her head. We need to evacuate. Ben activated the colony-wide communication system. His voice went to every building, every home, every person on Providence. This is Administrator Parker. This is not a drill. We have detected a hostile fleet approaching our system. All colonists are to proceed immediately to designated emergency shelters. Repeat, this is not a drill. Move to the shelters now. Throughout the colony, alarms began to sound. Families grabbed emergency supplies and headed underground. The shelters had been built deep beneath the surface, designed to survive orbital bombardment. They had supplies for 3 months and their own power generators, but Ben knew that wouldn't matter if the Varkoth decided to use certain types of weapons. How long until they're in weapons range? Ben asked. Linda checked her display. At their current speed, about 2 hours. But sir, we need to talk about the station crew. They can't defend against this force. If they try to fight, they'll just die for nothing. Ben knew she was right. The 40 people on the orbital station were doomed if they stayed. Order them to evacuate to the surface. Tell them to use the shuttles and get down here immediately. What about the station's weapons? We could set them on automatic, maybe buy a few more minutes. Do it, but I want every person off that station within the hour. The next 90 minutes were the longest of Ben's life. He watched as the Varkoth fleet approached, making no effort to hide their intentions. They broadcast a message on all frequencies, stating that Providence Colony was being punished for humanity's aggression against the Varkoth Empire. The colonists would be given no chance to surrender. This was meant to be a massacre, a message to Earth about the price of opposing the Varkoth. Ben stood in the command center deep underground, surrounded by screens showing various parts of the colony. The streets were empty now. Every colonist was in the shelters. The orbital station had been abandoned, its automated weapons armed and ready to fire one last time before being destroyed. Sir, we're getting another sensor reading, Linda said suddenly. Her voice had changed, carrying a note of confusion and hope. A single ship just appeared directly above the colony. It's massive, sir. Bigger than anything in our registry. Ben looked at the new contact on the display. The ship's identification beacon was broadcasting a human signal. But the design was nothing like the vessels in Earth's known fleet. This was something new. Get me a visual, he ordered. The screen shifted to show an external camera feed. The ship hung in orbit above Providence like a protective guardian. It was sleek and deadly looking, with smooth armor plating and weapon systems visible along its entire length. Ben had never seen anything like it. The ship is hailing us, Linda reported. Audio only. A calm male voice filled the command center. Providence Colony, this is Captain Ryan Foster of the URF Valiant. We are here to protect you from the approaching hostile force. All civilians are advised to remain in shelters until the situation is resolved. Ben grabbed the communication console. Captain Foster, this is Administrator Parker. Where did you come from? We had no warning about a military ship in this system. We've been here for 2 weeks, Administrator, cloaked and monitoring for potential threats. It seems our caution was justified. Ben felt a mixture of relief and confusion. A human warship had been watching over Providence in secret. How many other secrets did Earth's military have? On the tactical display, the Varkoth fleet was approaching weapons range. They seemed to have noticed the Valiant and were adjusting their formation. 20 ships against 1. The odds seemed impossible, but Captain Foster's voice remained completely calm. Providence, please confirm all civilians are in shelters and sealed. Confirmed, Captain. All 8,000 colonists are underground. Good. Stay there. This might get rough. The Varkoth fleet opened fire first. Dozens of plasma bolts streaked through space toward the Valiant. Ben watched in horror, certain the human ship would be overwhelmed. But the Valiant's shields flared to life, absorbing the incoming fire without any apparent damage. Then the human ship returned fire, and Ben realized he was witnessing something the galaxy had never seen before. The Valiant moved like nothing he had ever observed. It accelerated impossibly fast, dodging through the Varkoth formation while its weapons blazed. Railgun fire punched through alien shields and hulls. Missiles detonated in brilliant flashes of nuclear fire. Point defense lasers intercepted every Varkoth projectile with perfect accuracy. Linda watched the battle with professional fascination. Sir, that ship is using technology that shouldn't exist. The maneuverability alone defies conventional physics. And those weapons, they're tearing through Varkoth shields like they're not even there. Ben couldn't take his eyes off the screen. The battle was completely one-sided. Varkoth warships, vessels that had conquered entire civilizations, were being destroyed with casual efficiency. The Valiant danced through their formation, destroying ship after ship with devastating precision. "How is this possible?" Ben whispered. Linda shook her head in wonder. "Earth has been hiding its real capabilities. Those exploration ships we see, the defense fleet everyone knows about, they're just for show. This is what humanity's military actually looks like." The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, 19 Varkoth ships were nothing but debris fields. The 20th ship, heavily damaged but still functional, was attempting to flee. Ben expected the Valiant to destroy it like the others. But instead, Captain Foster's voice came over the communication system again. "Providence Colony, the threat has been neutralized. You may inform your colonists they can return to their homes. And someone needs to let the galaxy know what happened here today." Ben suddenly understood. The Valiant was deliberately letting one Varkoth ship escape. That ship would return to its fleet with sensor data and testimony about what happened. The secret was out. Humanity's true strength would be revealed to the entire galaxy. "Captain Foster, did Earth Command authorize this?" Ben asked. There was a pause before Foster replied. "Let's just say that certain decisions have been made at the highest levels. The game of pretending to be weak is over. It's time the galaxy saw what humans are really capable of." Ben watched as the damaged Varkoth ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying with it the proof that would change everything. He thought about the 8,000 people in the shelters below him. They had been saved by a ship they didn't know existed, using technology that shouldn't be possible. "What happens now?" Linda asked quietly. Ben looked at the Valiant still hanging protectively in orbit above Providence. Now the galaxy learns to take humanity seriously." The Galactic Security Council chamber was a massive circular room located on the neutral station of Haven Prime. Representatives from 7 major civilizations sat in designated sections, each area designed to accommodate the different environmental needs of various species. The chamber's center held a holographic display capable of showing anything from star maps to battle recordings. Ambassador Kate Stevens walked into the human section with measured steps. She was a diplomat of 15 years' experience, trained to remain calm under pressure. But today she felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. News of the missing Varkoth patrol had spread quickly through official channels. Now every species wanted answers. Kate took her seat and looked around the chamber. The Varkoth delegation sat directly across from her, their insectoid forms motionless except for the constant twitching of their antennae. High Commander Zethros, their primary representative, stared at her with multifaceted eyes that revealed nothing. To Kate's left sat the Kelnar Republic representatives. The Kelnar were an aquatic species who wore specialized suits filled with fluid to survive in the station's atmosphere. They were known for being cautious and diplomatic, preferring negotiation over conflict. On her right, the Draconid hegemony section held 3 large reptilian beings. The Draconids were warriors by nature, respecting strength above all else. They had been watching humanity carefully since Earth joined the galactic community 5 years ago. The council chairman, a Kelnar named Surveyor Call, activated the central holographic display. His translated voice echoed through the chamber. "This emergency session is now convened. High Commander Zethros has brought a formal complaint against the human government. You may present your case." Zethros rose from his section. His movements were sharp and aggressive, typical of Varkoth body language. 6 days ago, a Varkoth patrol conducting lawful operations disappeared in the Kepler system. Our monitoring stations detected weapons fire and the destruction of all 6 vessels. The humans claim this system as their territory. We demand they answer for this unprovoked attack. Kate remained seated, keeping her expression neutral. She had received detailed briefings from Earth Command about the incident. She knew exactly what happened in the Kepler system. The question was how much to reveal. "Ambassador Stevens, how does humanity respond to these accusations?" Chairman Call asked. Kate stood slowly. "The Kepler system is indeed within recognized human space as established by treaty 6 years ago. Any military vessels entering this system without permission violate our sovereignty. The Varkoth have provided no evidence that their patrol requested or received authorization to enter human territory." Zethros made an angry clicking sound. "You dare claim that human forces destroyed 6 Varkoth warships? Your species controls 12 systems. Your fleet consists of outdated vessels with primitive technology. The galactic intelligence reports are clear. Humans lack the capability to threaten even one of our ships, much less 6. Several other representatives murmured in agreement. The general perception of humanity was exactly as Zethros described. Earth was seen as a minor power, barely worth notice in galactic politics. Kate chose her words carefully. I neither confirm nor deny what happened to your patrol. I simply state that your ships entered our space without permission. Any consequences that resulted are your responsibility, not ours. Unacceptable, Zethros declared. He activated his own holographic display, showing sensor data from a Varkoth monitoring station. The data was unclear but showed the approximate location where the patrol had disappeared. We have evidence of a battle. We have confirmed the destruction of our vessels. The humans must provide an explanation and pay reparations for this act of war. The Draconid representative, Battle Commander Cross, spoke for the first time. His voice was deep and rumbling. Do you have any recordings of the actual battle? Any communications from your patrol before they were destroyed? Zethros hesitated. The distance was too great for detailed sensor readings. Our patrol did not transmit any distress signals. How convenient, Cross said dryly. 6 warships destroyed without sending a single message. Either your crews were completely incompetent, or they were destroyed so quickly they had no time to call for help. Which explanation do you prefer? Kate hid her satisfaction. Cross had identified the key weakness in the Varkoth position. The Draconids were warriors who understood combat. They knew something didn't add up about this incident. A representative from the Pelnar Confederation, a small civilization known for their legal expertise, raised a tentacle. Chairman, I must point out that the Varkoth have not provided sufficient evidence for their claims. We have only their word that their patrol was destroyed by human action. Many things can happen in deep space. Equipment failures, navigational errors, natural phenomena. Without concrete evidence, this council cannot take action. Zethros turned to face the Pelnar. Are you suggesting that 6 warships simultaneously experienced catastrophic failures? The probability of such an event is astronomically small, yet still more probable than the idea that a minor species somehow destroyed 6 Varkoth vessels, the Pelnar replied calmly. The debate continued. For another hour, various representatives asked questions and offered opinions. Kate answered when required, always careful to reveal nothing substantial. She neither admitted nor denied human involvement. She simply maintained that any military vessels entering human space did so at their own risk. Finally, Chairman Kahl called for a vote on the Varkoth demand for investigation and reparations. The result was predictable. The motion failed. Most council members saw this as a dispute between 2 members, and without clear evidence, they would not authorize action against humanity. Zethros left the chamber in obvious anger. The Varkoth delegation followed him, their movements sharp and threatening. Kate knew this wasn't over. The Varkoth Empire did not forgive perceived insults easily. After the session ended, Kate returned to her private office in the Human Embassy section of Haven Prime. She immediately activated a secure communication channel to Earth. Director Claire Martin's face appeared on the screen. Claire was the head of Earth Intelligence, responsible for gathering information about other civilizations and protecting humanity's secrets. How did it go? Claire asked, as expected. The Varkoth are furious but have no proof. The council won't act without evidence. Kate sat down heavily. But Claire, this won't end here. The Varkoth will investigate. They'll send more patrols to the Kepler system. Eventually, they'll figure out what really happened. Claire nodded. We know. Admiral Cooper is already preparing for that possibility. The question is whether we continue hiding our capabilities or reveal them strategically. What does the civilian government want? Kate asked. They're divided. President Martinez wants to maintain the deception as long as possible. She believes revealing our strength too soon will trigger an arms race or even a coalition against us. But the military leadership, particularly Admiral Cooper, argues that the secret is already compromised. Better to reveal it on our terms than have it exposed by enemy action. Kate rubbed her temples. She had a headache forming behind her eyes. The Varkoth won't let this go. Their culture values strength and dominance. Losing 6 ships, even if they can't prove who did it, is a humiliation they need to avenge. That's what we're afraid of, Claire admitted. Intelligence suggests they're mobilizing additional fleet elements along our borders. If they decide to launch a punitive strike, we'll have to respond. And when we do, the whole galaxy will see what we're capable of. Kate looked at the data Claire was sending her. Ship movements, communication intercepts, diplomatic chatter. The picture it painted was concerning. The Varkoth were preparing for action. Where will they strike? Kate asked. If I were planning their operation, I'd target one of our outlying colonies, somewhere far from Earth but still clearly human territory, a place where they can make a point without triggering an all-out war. Claire highlighted several systems on the star map. Providence Colony is the most likely target. It's our furthest settlement and has minimal defenses. We need to warn them, Kate said immediately. Already done. But officially, we can't send a military force there. That would be admitting we expect an attack, which would be admitting we're responsible for what happened in Kepler. Kate understood the diplomatic trap. If humanity sent warships to protect Providence, it would confirm their guilt in Varkoth eyes. But if they didn't, innocent civilians might die, so what do? Kate asked. Claire smiled slightly. We make sure that any Varkoth ships that attack Providence get the same welcome the Kepler patrol received. And this time we let one ship escape to tell the story. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. You're going to reveal our capabilities deliberately. The decision has been made at the highest levels. If the Varkoth attack Providence, we respond with overwhelming force and allow them to document everything. The galaxy will learn the truth. Humanity is not weak. We've been building our strength in secret for years, and we're ready to take our place among the major powers. The communication ended, leaving Kate alone with her thoughts. She walked to the window of her office and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, fleets were moving. The emergency session of the Galactic Security Council was unlike anything in its 200-year history. Representatives from all 7 major civilizations crowded into the chamber, along with observers from dozens of minor species. Everyone wanted to witness what would happen next. The humans had revealed themselves, and the galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador Kate Stevens walked to the center of the chamber with her head held high. She carried a data chip containing the complete sensor recordings from the Providence battle, along with technical specifications that Earth Command had authorized her to share. Behind her, 2 human military officers in dress uniforms stood at attention. This was no longer just a diplomatic matter. High Commander Zethros sat in the Varkoth section, his multifaceted eyes fixed on Kate with barely controlled rage. The surviving ship from Providence had returned 3 days ago. Its crew had provided detailed testimony about the battle. The sensor data was clear and undeniable. A single human warship had destroyed 19 Varkoth vessels with minimal effort. Chairman Call activated the central holographic display. Ambassador Stevens, you requested this emergency session. The Council recognizes Earth's delegation. Kate inserted the data chip into the chamber's system. The holographic display lit up with a 3-dimensional replay of the Providence battle. Every council member watched in silence as the Valiant demonstrated humanity's true capabilities. The recording showed everything. The impossible maneuvers, the devastating weapons, the complete destruction of the Varkoth attack force. When the replay ended, Kate spoke in a clear, strong voice. For the past 6 years, humanity has maintained a careful diplomatic position in the galactic community. We presented ourselves as a minor power with limited military capabilities. This was a calculated deception designed to protect Earth while we developed our defenses and learned about the galactic political situation. She paused, letting her words sink in. The truth is that humanity has been developing advanced military technology since before we joined this council. We studied the major powers, analyzed their strengths and weaknesses, and created weapons specifically designed to counter them. What you witnessed at Providence is only a fraction of Earth's actual military capability. The chamber erupted in noise. Representatives from various species began shouting questions and accusations. Chairman Call struggled to maintain order. Finally, he activated the noise suppression field, forcing silence. This is outrageous, Zethros declared, his translator rendering his clicking speech into angry words. Humanity has deceived this council. You pretended to be weak while building weapons of war. This is a violation of every principle of galactic cooperation. Kate turned to face him directly. Really? Show me the treaty that requires member species to reveal all military capabilities. Show me the law that says we must display our full strength for your convenience. Earth has violated no council regulation. We simply chose to keep our capabilities private. Battle Commander Cross from the Draconid Hegemony spoke next. His deep voice carried approval rather than anger. The humans played a clever game. They appeared weak, avoided conflict, and used that time to develop superior technology. This is exactly what a wise species should do when entering a dangerous arena. I see no deception here, only good strategy. The Kelnar representative, Surveyor Call's own species, raised a tentacle. Ambassador Stevens, these weapons you demonstrated, particularly the gravitational manipulation system, represent technology far beyond what we believed possible. How did your species develop such advances in such a short time? Kate had prepared for this question. Humanity has certain advantages in our approach to science and engineering. We are willing to take risks that other species avoid. We think differently about problems. And we have been highly motivated to defend ourselves in a galaxy that did not welcome us with friendship. You speak of defense, Zethros said coldly, but you destroyed 6 Varkoth ships in the Kepler system without provocation. You destroyed 19 more at Providence. These are not defensive actions. Your ships entered our space without permission with hostile intent, Kate replied firmly. At Kepler, your patrol threatened to kill the crew of the Carson's Pride if they didn't surrender. At Providence, your fleet came specifically to massacre 8,000 civilians. In both cases, we defended ourselves and our people. If you call that aggression, then you don't understand the meaning of the word. The Pelnar representative spoke thoughtfully. The real question is what happens now. Humanity has revealed capabilities that change the entire balance of power in the galaxy. We must decide how to respond to this new reality. Chairman Call nodded. Ambassador Stevens, what does Earth want from this council? Kate had been waiting for this moment. Everything that had happened, every battle and revelation had been leading to this. Earth requests full council membership with corresponding voting rights and military authority. We also request expansion of our recognized territory to include an additional 30 star systems, currently unclaimed by any major power. The chamber exploded in noise again. Even with the noise suppression field, representatives found ways to express their shock and outrage. What Kate was asking for would make humanity one of the dominant powers in galactic politics overnight. Impossible, Zethros declared. You cannot reward deception with increased authority. But Cross was smiling, his reptilian features showing approval. Actually, this is a reasonable request. Humanity has demonstrated military strength equal to or exceeding that of the current major powers. They deserve a seat at the table where decisions are made. The Draconid hegemony supports Earth's petition. Other representatives began debating the proposal. The small civilizations saw an opportunity. If humanity gained full membership, it would break the monopoly held by the traditional powers. New alliances would become possible. The political landscape would shift. Kate watched the debate unfold with satisfaction. Earth strategists had predicted this response. Some species would resist, but others would see advantage in supporting humanity. The key was to have enough support to pass the measure. After 2 hours of discussion, Chairman Call called for a vote. All in favor of granting Earth full council membership and expanded territorial rights. The Draconid hegemony voted yes immediately. The Kelnar Republic, after brief consultation among their delegation, also voted yes. 3 smaller civilizations followed. That was enough. The measure passed by a slim margin. The Varkoth delegation walked out of the chamber in protest. Several other species that voted against the measure followed them. But Kate didn't care. Earth had won what it came for. Chairman Call addressed Kate formally. By the authority of this council, humanity is granted full membership status effective immediately. Earth is recognized as a major power with all corresponding rights and responsibilities. Kate bowed slightly in acknowledgement. Earth accepts this honor and pledges to work with all council members to maintain peace and stability in the galaxy. The session ended, but Kate's work was far from over. She spent the next several hours in private meetings with representatives from various species. Some wanted to discuss trade agreements. Others wanted military alliances. A few simply wanted to understand how humanity had achieved such rapid technological advancement. Late that night, Kate returned to her private quarters and activated a secure communication channel to Earth. Admiral Henry Cooper's face appeared on the screen. Behind him, she could see other military and civilian leaders gathered in the command center. "Congratulations, Ambassador," Cooper said with a genuine smile. "You did it." Earth is now recognized as a major galactic power. Kate allowed herself a tired smile. "We did it together. But Admiral, this is just the beginning. We've made enemies today. The Varkoth will not forget this humiliation." Other species will fear us now. We need to be ready for what comes next. We are ready, Cooper assured her. Production of new warships is accelerating. The Valiant-class battlecruisers are entering service at a rate of 2 per month. We're also deploying new defensive platforms around all human colonies. And we have other projects in development that will maintain our technological edge. Director Claire Martin appeared on the screen next to Cooper. Kate, our intelligence indicates that several species are already attempting to steal our technology. The Varkoth have placed agents on Haven Prime specifically to gather information about our weapon systems. We need you to implement additional security protocols at the embassy. Kate nodded. I'll handle it. What about the diplomatic situation? Are we seeing any alliance formations against us? Some movement in that direction, Claire admitted. But it's not organized yet. Most species are still trying to understand what happened. They're recalculating their strategies based on this new information. We have a window of opportunity to establish ourselves before any serious opposition forms. President Martinez joined the conversation from her office in the capital. Ambassador Stevens, on behalf of Earth's government and people, I want to thank you for your service. Your work at the Council has secured humanity's future among the stars. But as you noted, this is just the beginning. We need you to stay on Haven Prime and continue building relationships with other species. The Carson's pride shuddered slightly as its railguns fired for the first time in actual combat. Unlike the energy weapons that most galactic civilizations used, these were purely kinetic weapons. They accelerated solid metal projectiles to incredible speeds using electromagnetic force. The rounds left the ship at a significant fraction of the speed of light, crossing the distance to the Varkoth vessels in less than a heartbeat. The first Varkoth warship never knew what hit it. The railgun rounds punched straight through its shields as if they weren't even there. Energy shields were designed to deflect plasma bolts and laser beams. They worked by dispersing energy across their surface. But solid matter moving at relativistic speeds didn't care about energy dispersion. The physics were simple and brutal. 3 rounds hit the Varkoth ship's main hull. They created holes the size of cars, passing completely through the vessel and out the other side. The ship's internal atmosphere vented explosively into space. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as the projectiles destroyed critical systems. Within 5 seconds, the Varkoth warship was breaking apart, pieces of it tumbling through the void. On the Carson's Pride's bridge, Lisa watched her tactical display with professional focus. First target destroyed. Remaining 5 ships are attempting to scatter. Jake nodded. Deploy the drone network. Don't let them regroup. Nicole activated another hidden system. Dozens of small hatches opened along the Carson's Pride's hull. Autonomous combat drones launched in rapid succession. Small craft no bigger than a car but packed with sensors, weapons, and artificial intelligence. Each drone was a sophisticated weapon system capable of independent action. The drones spread out in a coordinated pattern, moving to intercept the fleeing Varkoth ships. Their small size and high speed made them difficult targets. More importantly, each drone carried a networked AI that could learn and adapt in real time. They shared information instantly, coordinating their attacks with inhuman precision. The second Varkoth ship tried to bring its point defense systems online, but it was too slow. A swarm of drones converged on it from multiple angles. Some fired armor-piercing rockets that tore through the ship's hull plating. Others used laser cutters to slice through weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. The Varkoth crew fought back desperately, destroying several drones, but for every one they killed, 2 more took its position. Jake watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Humanity had spent decades developing these weapons in secret. They had studied every major galactic power, learning their tactics and their technology. Earth's scientists and engineers had asked themselves a simple question: how do you defeat an enemy with superior numbers and established military dominance? The answer was to not fight fair. Don't match their technology. Develop something completely different. Something they wouldn't expect and couldn't easily counter. Captain, third target is trying to activate its faster-than-light drive, Danny reported from the helm. Lisa immediately targeted that ship, firing missiles. The Carson's Pride launched a spread of 6 missiles. These weren't simple explosive warheads. Each missile carried a compact fusion warhead powerful enough to level a city. They accelerated rapidly, their engines pushing them to speeds that the Varkoth point defense systems couldn't track effectively. The third Varkoth ship managed to destroy 2 of the missiles, but the other 4 got through. They detonated in a carefully timed sequence, creating overlapping spheres of nuclear fire. The Varkoth vessel's shields overloaded instantly. The hull superheated and melted. The ship came apart like paper in a fire. Craig Bennett, the weapons officer, reported from his station. 3 enemy vessels down. 3 remaining. They're trying to coordinate their retreat. Jake checked the tactical display. The surviving Varkoth ships had finally realized they were in serious trouble. They were attempting to group together, covering each other while they powered up their hyperspace drives. It was a smart tactic. In another few seconds they would escape, but Jake couldn't allow that to happen. If even one Varkoth ship returned to its fleet and reported what had happened here, everything would change. The secret of humanity's real military strength would be out. Earth wasn't ready for that yet. The diplomatic situation was too delicate. The galactic powers would react with fear and aggression if they knew the truth. Lisa, how long until they can jump to hyperspace? Jake asked. 30 seconds for the nearest one, 45 for the other 2. Danny, I need you to position us for simultaneous intercept on all 3 targets. Danny turned to look at Jake with surprise. Sir, that's not possible with conventional drives. The distances are too great and the angles are wrong. Jake smiled slightly. Then it's a good thing we don't have conventional drives. Nicole, prepare to activate the gravitational manipulation system. Nicole hesitated for just a moment. The gravity drive was humanity's most closely guarded secret. It manipulated space-time itself, allowing ships to move in ways that should be impossible according to known physics. Only the newest Earth vessels had it installed. Its existence was classified at the highest levels, but this was exactly the kind of situation it was designed for. Gravity drive ready, Captain, Nicole confirmed. Engage. The Carson's Pride suddenly accelerated in 3 directions at once. It wasn't moving in the traditional sense. Instead, it was bending space around itself, creating localized distortions in the fabric of reality. To an outside observer, it would look like the ship had split into 3 identical copies, each moving impossibly fast toward a different target. The effect lasted only a few seconds, but that was enough. The Carson's Pride materialized directly in front of the first fleeing Varkoth ship and fired its railguns at point-blank range. The alien vessel exploded. Then the human ship was gone, reappearing next to the second Varkoth warship. More railgun fire. Another explosion. The third Varkoth ship was already entering hyperspace when the Carson's Pride intercepted it. The human ship fired everything it had in one massive volley. Railgun rounds, missiles, and laser batteries all struck simultaneously. The Varkoth vessel tried to complete its jump, but with its systems failing, the hyperspace transition went catastrophically wrong. The ship folded in on itself and vanished in a flash of exotic radiation. Silence fell across the bridge. The tactical display showed nothing but debris and fading energy signatures. 6 Varkoth warships had been destroyed in less than 4 minutes. The battle was over. Lisa ran a full sensor sweep of the area. No survivors detected. No escape pods launched. Complete destruction of all enemy vessels. Jake nodded slowly. He felt no satisfaction in the deaths, but he felt no guilt either. The Varkoth had come here to kill or capture his crew. They had threatened humanity. This was simply the consequence of their actions. Damage report, he ordered. Nicole checked her systems. Minor shield depletion. 2 drone units lost. 1 railgun battery showing stress fractures needs maintenance. Otherwise, all systems green. Danny looked at his captain. Sir, should we report this to command? Jake walked to his command chair and sat down heavily. That was the big question, wasn't it? This incident would have consequences. The Varkoth would notice when their patrol didn't return. They would investigate. Eventually, they would figure out what happened here. Get me a secure channel to Earth, Jake said. Priority 1 encryption. This goes straight to Admiral Cooper. While Lisa established the communication link, Jake considered what he would say. The secret was out, or it would be soon. Humanity had just demonstrated capabilities that no one knew they possessed. The delicate game of appearing weak while building strength in secret was coming to an end. Greg Turner, the medical officer, appeared on the bridge. Captain, I've completed my examination of the crew. No injuries. Everyone is fine. Thank you, Greg, Jake replied. The young medical officer hesitated. Sir, permission to speak freely? Granted. What we just did, it felt almost too easy. Those Varkoth ships. They're supposed to be some of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. but we destroyed 6 of them without breaking a sweat. Does that worry anyone else? Jake understood what Greg was really asking. Were humans becoming the very thing they feared in other species? Were they becoming the bullies? The aggressive empire that pushed others around? We didn't start this fight, Jake said carefully. The Varkoth came into our space with hostile intent. They threatened to kill us if we didn't surrender. We defended ourselves. That's all. But we could have disabled their ships, forced them to surrender, Greg pointed out, and then what? Hold them prisoner? Let them report back to their empire about our capabilities? Jake shook his head. I don't like it either, but we made the only choice that protects Earth and our people. The communication system beeped, indicating a connection had been established with Earth. Admiral Cooper's face appeared on the screen. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Captain Morrison, report. Jake took a breath and began explaining everything that had happened in the Kepler system.